so there shouldn't be any questions.
One question. Do you consider getting 219 back in the trade for Tyree Wilson, trading down?
Well, do you guys?
I do.
Oh, come
on. It's a big debate.
Yeah.
Was this a mission pre-draft, the emphasis on getting offensive weapons? Did you expect before we started to walk away with 4 guys?
I don't know that we expected 4, but look, we wanted to add in that area. We wanted to add speed to our team, which we did. I think, one thing, I think we drafted a heck of a relay team if we want to go that route. So, look, I think there was a little something for everyone, offense, defense, and special teams, and I think that's a good thing for us.
What do you like about Jeremiah Wright, offensive coordinator?
Yeah, big, people mover. Right there. He's going to come in and immediately add size and power to our offensive line, and we'll see how he develops. One thing that caught my eye in this last day was, and really the whole thing, is how emotional and passionate a lot of these guys were. I know you guys could feel that on those Zoom calls afterwards, and we certainly felt it on the calls when we talked to the guys to tell them that they were going to become New Orleans Saints, and that was really cool.
Was there anything with the top 7 picks that surprised you or changed up the order or anything that unexpected?
I would say that the 7 probably went about what we expected, not necessarily to whom we expected. Yeah, so there was a little bit of a shuffle there, just not amongst the names, just about who ended up with whom.
And I know a year from now is going to be the Thursday of the draft, and everyone's going to say the Saints are calling. They're the team trying to move up. Was there anything abnormal with kind of?
Yeah, I never made one call to move up from pick 8, which will surprise you all. I know it was reported by a couple of people, but that was completely untrue.
There were similar reports about the second day. Was that a day where you were more active?
Yeah.
Or the second?
Yeah. We did try to move up a little bit on the second day, yes.
I guess.
Unsuccessfully, as noted.
To clarify, the team's calling you about trying to trade down to 8?
Yes.
Just to clarify, was there just no interest in moving up? Was it just not a...
Yeah, I didn't feel like... it felt like the cost was going to be too high, and we were going to end up with a really quality player. We just liked, a lot of guys in that first group, and we're going to be pretty happy with whomever we ended up, and really happy with who we ended up with.
Vicki, when you're deciding whether to draft a guy with injury history like Jordan Tyson, what is it that makes a team comfortable with that? Is it as simple as looking at medical records and saying maybe this won't reoccur? Or how much does the player's attitude?
Yeah. I think it all comes into play. All of it is, all of it comes into play. I think oftentimes you're looking for, do any of these injuries, are they causing problems right now? Are they symptomatic right now? Do they keep, are they the kinds of things that are going to keep somebody from practicing every day? Is it a situation where if it's a knee, does it swell up every day, and do you have to have a lot of rest days? What's the likelihood of a recurring injury? One of the realities of football is that there's a lot of injuries in our game, and guys, how resilient are they? So there's a lot of variables.
I asked that because he seemed to have a plan already to take care of his body and how he would prevent things from happening again. Obviously, sometimes you can't, but I didn't know if when you talk to him. Yeah, that is a factor.
Yeah, that is a factor. I think that, and I would say this as, these guys are young guys for the most part, right? They're 21, 22, 23 years old, and they're just learning that, some of the things that they're doing off the field can impact, their availability, and a lot of guys don't learn that until they get to the league, and I think we're pretty sophisticated as a league our strength and conditioning and our performance coaches are pretty sophisticated in terms of preventing injuries and doing things that can help you stay on the field. And so we'll help him in that regard. And obviously it's important to him. And that's one of the things that you're looking for. You're looking for guys that want to be on the field all the time. They don't want to miss practice. It bothers them to be in the training room. So, they're all variables that we consider.
You joked about trading up. It's 2 years in a row now, so you guys have made 17 picks over the last 2 years. I mean, were there deals you would have made in the past? The value was right and stuff, but you felt like compiling picks is where this team exists right now?
No, I wouldn't say it's that. I think, and look, we tried in a couple of cases, but weren't able to do it. It's just the circumstances just weren't there for us to make a move that somebody else was going to agree to.
What do you like about Tyree Wilson?
Yeah, look, I think, we liked him as a player coming out. I think more than anything, Brandon has a vision for him fitting into our defense, and it adds to a group that we like already. So anxious to get him here, and obviously he was a high pick for the Raiders, and I'm anxious to get him here. We liked him a lot coming out, and still like him as a professional.
Is there for him as a stand-up pass rusher?
Yeah, I think we've got a couple of different ideas how to use him, and we'll see what in this off season and training camp if that comes to fruition.
Does that change anything with Cam Jordan, or are you still?
No, I don't think so. No.
Is the fifth-year option something you'll have to look at, or is that kind of already decided?
Yeah. I think he's going to be a free agent after this year in all likelihood. So, I know exactly the rule. I got to remember what the final date was, but relative to him, but no, I think he's going to be a free agent next year. So, it's a 1-year trial, and we'll see how it goes.
Did you go into this draft kind of with the idea of maybe acquiring an edge through a trade, like a veteran player? Is that something maybe like after you took Jordan that kind of crystallized?
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't say a plan necessarily, but we have been talking with the Raiders about Tyree for quite some time, so it didn't just come up today.
You also joked about the track speed that you acquired today, but is that coincidental, or was that a specific emphasis?
No, I think that probably somewhere in between, right? You always want to add speed to your team. And look, we lost, Rashid last year, and he was that's a big element of his game, and so we wanted to add that. We wanted to add some return ability. We got that, so it was conscious to add some speed to our rooms.
Was there anyone else that was specifically a special teams fit that you've taken today, probably?
Well, I think you're always, one of the considerations when you get later in the draft is obviously the position but hey, what's the path to the roster? And oftentimes for guys, on this day, the path to the roster is special teams. So it's either they have experience in their college career or they have the traits that we think are necessary to become effective special teams players. So that's definitely part of the consideration of who we drafted later today.
Is that true? Like Lorenzo Styles or TJ Holland?
Yeah, absolutely.
How different do you think the offense can look next year with everything you've done in free agency and now the draft?
Yeah, I mean that's a question for Kellen really. Look, we've added a downfield element. We've added some size. But we'll see how that goes.
With Jordan and Bryce in particular, how do those guys and their skill sets complement what you already have in that room?
Yeah, I think again we just we're adding talent to the room. We're adding a developmental 6'3", 4-4 player that played it. He didn't play at a Power 4 conference. He played for North Dakota State, and so there's probably some development that we need to do there. Jordan Tyson, obviously, he's got a complementary skill set to Chris, the guys that we have, Devon, some of the other guys we have. So look, it's a good mix right now. We were just talking about it.
About Christian Miller, just what you like from him and why that spot specifically? Yeah,
again, big. We're going to look pretty good coming off the bus, I think. But big, powerful, young man, and adds to a great room. And so, we were excited to get him.
You didn't early in this draft add a guy for Alante Taylor's the spot that obviously opens up on the defense. Did you feel good about what you already had in-house to fill that spot, and that's why you didn't, or did you?
No, I think we probably, if in a perfect world, we went into the draft thinking, we wanted to get a guy in the early part of the draft at that position, but it just didn't work out.
Is Lorenzo a spot or candidate to fill that spot? Or
yeah, I think a developmental player, for sure. Brandon refers to these guys as DBs more than corners, nickels, or safeties, and so I'm going to take that tact and just say, hey, look, we added some DBs, some of which are a little more developmental, and we've got to wait till we get into training camp to see how they fit with the defense that Brandon wants to play.
With Lorenzo, all gets sorted out, throughout the offseason. But you've got 14 receivers now, and that includes some of the guys that are also essentially rookies hurt in Jalen Polk and Trey Palmer. I mean, was there a point where overcrowding was a discussion?
Yeah, we've talked about that, and as we get some of these undrafted free agents signed, and we take a step back, we're probably going to have to adjust some numbers in some different areas, and we're a little heavy in that group relative to the 90-man roster right now.
Lorenzo talked about his post combine procedure, but mentioned that he would.
Who did?
Lorenzo.
Oh yeah.
Mentioned that he expects that he'll be ready for training camp. Is that the same timeline that you're operating?
Yeah, I think probably. I don't know that we expect him to be ready at the beginning of training camp, but certainly during the course of training camp, we're really well aware of his timeline and feel pretty good about it.
With Darian being right down the road, were you able to maybe key in on his ability a little more than other guys? Is that possible?
Yeah, yes, because look, we went up to the pro day. We had him here for our local pro day. Really enjoyed our visits with him, and he did a good job in their pro day too. And man, he was enthusiastic when we called him. It was fun to feel that excitement from him. And I just remember his comment. We were talking to him about his speed, and during the local pro day afterwards, and one of the comments he made was he never lost a race. And I thought, well, that's pretty good.
You kind of mentioned it before, but with Jordan, at the time, there were still some prominent defenders on the board. Just what was it about Jordan that you felt like you really wanted to pick offense there rather than go?
Well, there's nothing about the rest of the guys that, there were some really good options for us. But we just felt like, given where we're at and the talent level, this was the guy for us, and we're really excited to get him. I would say that pre-draft, when you consider where other guys are likely to go, we felt really good about Jordan Tyson being our pick, and excited that he was available to us.
You talked about being risk averse a little bit in terms of your pre-draft press conference. With him, I know you're comfortable enough to draft him with the injury history, but was that ever I guess, do you see it as a risk at all? How do you kind of square it with that?
I think when you look at all these players, there's some risk, right? We all have a vision. We're projecting them as to what they can be in our league, and so there's risk with every guy, and some of it is more scheme fit. Some of it may be, just the physical attributes. And with him, there was, he's missed some games. But we, dove pretty deep into that history, and at the end of it, we felt comfortable.
If you had to say the one thing about Jordan that set him apart for you, was there something about his skill set that you liked enough to get him at 8?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of things. He's fast, twitchy, tough. He stops well. He just got a lot of great skills. A lot of his catches are first downs and touchdowns. He makes tough catches. So there's just the whole package, really. And look, if you're going to be a top 10 pick in our league, you better have the whole package, and that's for every position.
Coach Dillingham talked about his competitiveness. Was that something that stood out to y'all?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And you feel it when you talk with him.
4 of your top 5 draft picks were on offense, and the 2 highest paid free agents that you signed were on offense. Coming out of the season, was that we've got to invest in this offense? Has this been a mission since January?
Yeah, I think when you go through that post-season evaluation and you start looking at, okay, here's the holes that we need to fill. Here's where we need to significantly get better. Must, needs, and wants. There was just more on offense as it turned out, and so some years it's offense and some years it's defense. So this year it was offense.
Y'all got a lot taller at wide receiver since last year. Was that a active plan, or did it just kind of how it happened?
A little bit, yeah. Size is good in the NFL, right?
How much did Tyler's stretch last year kind of influence, what you think you could need on offense and the acquisitions you made to try and help him, I guess?
Yeah, I don't know that I would say it like Tyler's influence. Every quarterback in our league, wants and needs weapons, right? They need guys to get the ball to, and hopefully they can do something special with it. And so, I don't think it's unique to Tyler, but I do think that we knew we needed to add in that area, and hopefully we have.
Now that you've added 9 guys, will you be able to narrow your focus for whatever's left to be done in free agency?
Yeah, I think for yes, we'll reassess the roster in the next coming weeks, and what always happens with this is that teams add players, and there's other guys, veteran guys, that may become available through trade. So we'll take a look at that along with the guys that are still free agents.
Delp didn't put up like a bunch of big receiving numbers at Georgia, but can you project more there, like some kind of untapped receiving potential from what you saw on tape? Yeah,
I think our guys would say, and we would all say, that he's got all the traits necessary to be really productive in the pass game, and he's a really willing and able blocker. And so we felt like giving us some help as a white tight end, it would be important. And he was very resilient at Georgia. That's a tough program. Those coaches do a great job, and they're really tough on their players. And he was really resilient and stayed the whole time, and was a really good player for them. And they were really complimentary about him. So we were surprised that he was available to us. When we took him. And I wouldn't say that we went into the draft thinking, man, we got to get a tight end, but at some point the value just, jumps out at you.
And that was like kind of during a stretch when a bunch of tight ends started going.
Yeah,
that
they sure did.
Were you kind of getting a little, maybe nervous right before
that? I wouldn't say nervous, but that's the area every year that the tight ends seem to go, right in that window, that 3rd, 4th round, window. So it wasn't a surprise.
Did the pass rushers going in round 2 before you guys influence what you did at before Miller's, or I guess with Miller's pick?
I don't know that I would say it that way. It's just that I would say that, you know, the strength of this draft wasn't in big people, right? Didn't seem like there was as many as there normally is, so, you know, that became a little bit more of a premium. But, you know, we liked him from the beginning. He was, you know, a highly graded guy for us, and excited to get him.
Not picking a running back, does that impact Alvin one way or another, or what you guys want to do there?
Yeah, well, you know, we'll see what happens here in the next few weeks, but yeah, we didn't go into the draft thinking, you know, we had to go get a running back either.
Would you like that settled before like on-field work begins?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I would characterize it that way. We'll just see what happens.
With Del, often the leap for a tight end from college to the pros is complicated with protections. We hear a lot because of the program that he was a part of. Do you think that he's a little bit further along than your typical draft prospect?
Yeah, I would say he probably is, and he's a you know, smart kid, really smart kid, and I don't think he's going to have any problems, you know, learning our scheme.
With Garrett falling the way that he did, I mean,
Yeah.
your last pick there, did you give it a consideration, or was it what you make of just falling?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about that a little bit. Just I feel for him. You know, he's a great kid. He's a really, really good player. I think we were all really surprised that he didn't get taken a lot earlier. I don't know the reason behind it. And really excited when he got drafted. You know, it's a great family, and he's going to be successful. I'm 100% confident, and I'm also, you know, excited for him as to where he went, because he probably went to about the best place he could go to.
With Wilson, going back to him, with the success you guys had with Chase Young, like kind of getting back to his career, did that influence your thinking on, you know, wanting to take another shot on one of these guys? Or
A little bit, yeah, a little bit, yeah. Look, I think oftentimes, you know, you're looking. There's high expectations for these guys that come drafted early, right? High expectations, and if they don't necessarily meet that expectation, but they're still good players, you know, they can have a second chance and have a really good, you know, career, and maybe reach a higher level of success. So hopefully that's what happens here.
You feel good about what you got done? Get this list?
Yes, but I always feel good about it. I'm a glass half full guy, right? So yes, I feel really good about the group. And it was a perfect no. It didn't come out perfect in terms of what we might have laid out prior to the draft, but it was really good, and it never comes out perfect. So yeah, we're excited. We're excited to get these guys in here. Excited to get them in for that first rookie mini camp, and then get going.
When you had this many draft picks and you go to sign the undrafted free agents, do you still look at needs at all, or can you pretty much just zero in on the guys who are the highest rated?
It's a good question, and I would say that it's a combination of the two. We've got to fill out the roster, right? Because we've got to have a certain number at every position, and we pay attention to that. But if, for example, and this is just hypothetical, it's not real, if, for example, we were full at safety, but we had a really highly graded safety out there available to us, we'd go one over in that area and go short someplace else because of the grade. So it's a combination of the two.
You guys are almost, I mean, you still have a little bit of wiggle room with the 90-man, but does that kind of impact how active you'll be with?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to end up with 10 maybe, a fewer number than most years. Yeah.
With picking up that 219th overall selection late, and then going with T.J. Hall, what was it that you guys liked about him at that area, and kind of how do you go about, you know, kind of being ready for that situation? Yeah,
I think that look, that was part of the trade, obviously, and there's, you know, that's a value proposition. You know, they had a certain value they wanted for Tyree, and we wanted to pay a certain value, and it just worked out that we ended up back with that pick where we traded down. And and so you get that pick, and then all of a sudden, man, here's a player that we were considering at the bottom of the 5th round and the 6th round, and man, he's still there. So it was kind of like a no-brain pick for us. Played at Iowa, played at a high level. That's a really good program. He's well coached, and it's a guy we can throw at a couple positions because we think he's a pretty versatile athlete, and we might have a swing at 3 different spots for him.
You should try that again next year. See how you like it.
Is Jeremiah Wright? Is he only a guard, or can he play center at all, or will you try him there?
I think, look, we'd be doing him a disservice to try to play him at multiple positions right now. So we're going to start him at guard, and let's just go from there. All right. Thank you, guys.
You